Let's talk about it even further. Joining me now, legal analyst Katie Cherkosky. And Katie, thanks for being with us on this Friday night. You know, I think you would be hard-pressed to find people who thought the deal would fall through. Were you one of them, or did you think it was going to happen? This was so highly touted. Everyone was talking about it. It's apparently no longer.
Well, I'm still not sure that it's totally over. I guess it depends on what Elon Musk's real gripe is, whether that he's legitimately concerned, which I think he is, with the potential of bots and spam accounts on the platform, or if he's really trying to get a lower price, or maybe a combination thereof. But there's a long road ahead before we could totally say that the deal is dead. I think that Musk has raised legitimate concerns. Twitter has countered and said that they are illegitimate and that they have followed through with all of the contingencies on the agreement. So more to come for sure, but it's not over yet.
Yeah, I want to read from the SEC kind of file here. It says, and Musk's attorneys are alleging that the merger agreement required Twitter, it says, to provide Musk and his advisors all data and information that Musk requests for any reasonable business purpose related to the consummation of the transaction. It goes on to say Twitter has not complied with its contractual obligations, but now Twitter is not going down without a fight. What do you make of that? Suing.
Well, of course, because Musk says he's cutting the deal off, and he's even alleged that they've committed fraud by misrepresenting material information that deals with the valuation of the company, which is obviously the number one consideration here for Elon Musk. So certainly Twitter believes that, you know, they want this deal to go through. They have an obligation to their shareholders to fight this. And ultimately, they believe, according to what their position is publicly, that they have complied. So it could be that they think Elon Musk is just trying to find a way out of this because maybe he does have some buyer's remorse, or maybe he has legitimate concerns that really do need to be addressed. But I think, you know, this will have to go to litigation if he maintains this position, and that will be the only way to have it parsed out in terms of who was in compliance with the contract and who was in breach.
You know, Katie, some people are saying this whole, you know, information, please provide me about how many bots are on the platform is basically just a pretense for Musk to, you know, not go through the deal because it's now at a much lower stock price than when he had said he initially wanted to buy Twitter. Do you think that holds up?
I think he makes a legitimate argument. Over 90% of Twitter's revenue comes from advertisers, and clearly the number of bots and spam accounts directly correlates to how much the company is actually worth. I think Twitter has maybe a lot on the line here if Musk exposes them as being valued at far less than what has been offered in this deal, or even what the market is trading at currently. So certainly I think it's a legitimate concern. There can be a counter to that it's just an excuse. But I mean, the bottom line is that the evidence will reveal if it is legitimate or not, whether they have provided him legitimate data that he can use to determine that number of bots, which they claim is less than 5% of accounts. He says it's much higher based on the information that he does have. So somebody has to confirm this. Somebody on an outside level has to confirm this between the two parties, because it can be calculated, seemingly.
Yeah. I just want to put up the tweet here from Brett Taylor. He's the chairman of the board of Twitter. He said the Twitter board is committed to closing the transaction on the price and terms agreed upon with Mr. Musk, and plans to pursue legal action to enforce the merger agreement. We are confident we will prevail in the Delaware Court of Chancery. That's kind of where all this litigation plays itself out. So Twitter is suing, you know, if they don't win, will Musk have to pay up big to get out of this?
Well, that's the big question here. So there is an agreement, there is a term in the agreement that would require a $1 billion payout. And typically the buyer would be responsible for that if they didn't perform on the contract. But if Elon Musk can show that Twitter acted in bad faith or was committing some sort of fraud, he might be able to argue his way out of being responsible for not going through with the agreement. And then alternatively, Musk could be ordered to follow through with the entire sale if there has been enough showing of reliance by Twitter at some level. So there's a lot of different options in terms of what could happen here. If Musk is really serious about walking away from the deal, he's going to have to establish that there was material deviation from the terms of the agreement and maybe even fraud. If he is just doing this as a ploy to lower the price, then perhaps we'll see some progress shortly. But I think it's all dependent on what his true motives are here. And maybe it's a combination of, determining what's legitimate about the information that's been provided.
Yeah, I mean, just as far from a journalist's perspective, this story, everyone was talking about it. For those who wanted it to go through, maybe a little anticlimactic. For those who didn't want it to go through, maybe relief. Where does this go from here?
Well, I don't think it's over yet. Like I said earlier, I think that there's a lot of different avenues it could go down, including that the sale goes through at the price agreed upon or a reduced price of some sort based upon some concerns that Musk has raised. In terms of it going away altogether, we're going to have to see Elon Musk probably establish a very severe deviation from the terms of the agreement by Twitter, in my opinion. So I don't know if he really has that sort of smoking gun evidence, but this is kind of the beginning stages of determining the legal and litigation strategy.
Katie, I'm no corporate legal expert or lawyer myself, but just kind of having friends who are, these things happen all the time. Mergers fail.
Sure, and that's very true. And sometimes it's just there wasn't exactly the information that everyone thought was going on. After they look into it a little further, it's not quite the same situation that was agreed upon. And so sometimes it doesn't work out, and there's a lot of serious considerations in a deal this big, needless to say. So that is absolutely possible. And I think at this point, it's just a matter of making some determinations about what the information is that each party's entitled to and whether they've received it or not.
Yeah. All right, Katie Cherkosky, thanks for the conversation. Hope you have a good weekend, and we'll talk again.
Thank you. Take care.